Like most members of the general population, once I hit puberty, I started to become hyper-aware of the opposite sex. I had puppy crushes as a child, who hasn't? But my teenage years are when I began to really think about the way I felt towards boys and men. What personality traits am I drawn to? What physical traits am I looking for? What is my type? This would continue into my adulthood, my taste in media continuing to evolve and change until I believed I was settled and content in the type of men I would pursue in fiction. My becoming a weeb around this time certainly contributed to that. There were 3 men who owned my heart by this time. All of them I had grown to really love and appreciate, and all of them incidentally fit into a type that I seemed to go after. And that was that. Surely there could be nobody that would top my 3 guys, right? Right?
Oh, Love and Deepspace is a new event coming out with a new love interest. I've been meaning to return to this game for a while. Let's see what all this fuss is about.
The moment I decided to return to Love and Deepspace and play through the new route is the moment my fate was sealed. Because that's when I got introduced to...
So, he is the head of Unikindness.
I'm not planning for this to be a character study of Sylus or anything, so I'm not going to give a detailed description of him. Besides, that's not what you guys are here for, is it? You're here to listen to me yap. And yap I shall. So we may as well get all the superficial stuff out of the way first before we get analytical. To put it simply, Sylus is hot. Like a full-on modern version of Adonis. I don't know what the devs were smoking when they constructed his character, but it seemed their assignment was to make the studdiest stud to ever stud. Either way, they succeeded because, oh boy. It's not just in terms of his physicality, but also his overall character design. His silver hair that contrasts well with the fact that he rules over the N109 zone, an area notorious for its perpetual darkness. His striking red eye color only amplified whenever he uses the ether core in his right eye. The way they can be so elusive and guarded and you can never quite tell what he's thinking. And his voice, oh my god, his voice. I feel like they handpicked his English voice actor or something, because that man was and is a practically perfect fit for Sylus in every way. The way he can make Sylus's voice deep and menacing when in business mode or threatening someone.
It hurts!
You'll hurt even more.
Or cheeky and playful when teasing MC.
Perfectly done. Although, did I just hear a quiet sigh of relief?
Or guttural and animalistic whilst in predator mode.
How did it feel to watch me while you helped me from outside the cage?
Or reverent and tender when speaking earnestly to the woman he loves.
If you were also an art piece, then whoever created you must have loved you dearly.
Or how he can, portray Sylus's other emotions.
I'm hoping yes is still your answer because I just can't hold back anymore.
Okay, let me move on before we get too carried away. The point I'm trying to make is that Sylus's VA has got range, and said range allows Sylus to be so much more than just a stereotype and become a multifaceted and 3-dimensional character. Furthermore, in a world of media where it's unfortunately common for male characters to be emasculated and have their innate traits downplayed, usually to lift up female characters, particularly in the West, Sylus in all his undisputed masculinity is like a breath of fresh air to me. As you probably guessed, I don't mean masculine like the classic action heroes from the 80s, like the Arnold Schwarzeneggers or the Sylvester Stallones, though I am confident he could crush my head like a watermelon with those assault weapons he calls arms. I mean that Sylus is masculine in a refined and elegant sense, like an aristocrat. He's confident, if slightly arrogant, but he has the skills to back it up. He's also very capable of holding his own in a fight, not just in terms of his evil, but also in general, and he is incredibly, almost aggravatingly intelligent. He is the way that he is, and not once does he apologize for it, nor backtrack or back down in any way. I find that incredibly sexy. Next, I want to talk about an aspect of Sylus which may go understated. His sense of style. Living in a country where most men in my age bracket unfortunately believe it's acceptable to leave the house in basically pajamas, Sylus being a man who actually takes pride in his appearance and dresses himself well is a massive green flag for me. Surprisingly enough, women find it attractive when men actually, give a damn about how they're presenting themselves to the world as opposed to just throwing whatever on for convenience. And Sylus embodies the former mindset perfectly. He definitely strikes me as the type of guy who would get dressed up to the nines for something as mundane as a grocery run. It's also the fact that he's versatile with his style too. He can pull off business, formal, casual, street, whatever the hell you'd call this, literally anything. Now, from my first Sylus video, I was thankful to receive comments from those who agreed with me that this chair pull he does is unnecessarily hot. But why is that? I'm going to try and explain it as best I can before we move on. After watching that clip and re-watching it, I've come to the conclusion that the reason why it's so hot, at least for me, is just the way that tiny action perfectly encapsulates Sylus's entire character, and why he has such a chokehold on me and so many of you guys. The nonchalant aloof attitude, the subtlety of his actions, the way he doesn't even have to do too much and yet always excels in what he sets out to do, all portrayed in that one 3 to 4 second clip. Even with my explanation, I still don't believe I've done it justice, but I'm glad to know that it's not just me being extra and there are others out there who understand me.
I guess you don't remember anything. Allow me to jog your memory.
This chapter's going to be all about Sylus's relationship with MC. Since I haven't played through the game properly yet, it's all those damn battles holding me back, I'm not going to be delving deeply into the lore or anything, so I'll just be going off the little I've seen as well as the way he acts in the context of a romantic relationship. When Sylus is first introduced to us, it's done through giving him all the hallmark traits of a villain, from the fact that he resides in a perpetually dark part of Lincoln City, to his sudden and harsh treatment of the goon who kidnapped MC, and his treatment of MC herself. From the little I've played through, it's clear that whilst MC doesn't trust Sylus in the slightest, in order to find out more about Onakainus and him, particularly his ties to her, she decides that it's in her best interest to stick with him, at least for the time being. Of course, as time goes on, the relationship between the two begins to change for the better, and they evolve from enemies to lovers. Usually I hate this trope with a passion, but I'll let it slide because Sylus is my main. As a lover, Sylus remains his elusive self, though he's definitely the type to let his actions speak much louder than his words. And as time goes on, he begins to mellow out when he's around MC. It becomes very clear that he gets a kick out of teasing her, for example, and it's always nice to get a glimpse into his more playful side. In addition, when he wants to be, he can be real sappy.
You should know very well that I adore you. There is no love purer than mine. Did I draw it because I miss you? Yeah, I did. What are you gonna do about it, kitten?
Also, Sylus is shown to be protective of MC, although what good boyfriend isn't? Even though she's a hunter, which is a dangerous job in its own right, it's clear that he doesn't want her to get mixed up too much in his business dealings as Onakainus' leader. Not just because he's on the Hunters Association's most wanted list, but also because he just wants to keep her safe.
It's to ensure someone's safety.
All in all, Sylus's actions show that he's more than fond of MC, and is definitely happy to have her in his life, even if he'll never admit it out loud. This next part isn't streamlined or anything, I'm just going to be talking about some of Sylus's 5-star memories and gushing over them. By the way, I have a dedicated video for his 5-star memories in the pipeline, so stay tuned for that. Any memories that go unmentioned in this already too long video will be included in there. Off the bat, I have to talk about Beyond Cloudfall first. Out of all the things to turn Sylus into, they made him a dragon, one of my favorite mythical creatures ever. As I briefly touched on before, Sylus's English VA is way too good at making him sound like a villain, and it just gives Dragon Sylus, or the Fiend as he's dubbed in the myth route, that sense of gravitas and foreboding that is necessary for a character like him. Honestly, part of me wishes that Sylus could have remained a villain simply because his VA portrays one so well.
I like your eyes. They are beautiful. In them, I can see your hatred, defiance, and greed for life. Make a deal with me, if you want to live, that is.
I've already made a dedicated video towards Good Cat Code as well as the Yes Cat Caretaker event at large, so check that out for more of my thoughts on that. But I'll summarize them here. This memory confirms that Sylus has a bratty side to him, one that secretly loves to be on the receiving end of MC's efforts to tame him and keep him in line. No Defense Zone only amplifies this side of him. I will get my hands on No Defense Zone if it's the last thing I ever do, so help me God. Since we're on the topic of memories I wasn't able to get, I unfortunately also wasn't able to access Innocent Birdcage from the Tomorrow's Catch 22 event. Not because I was too late this time, but for the simple reason that I did not, at the time, possess the financial means to splurge on such indulgences. And honestly, That's completely fine. So I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about the fact that Sylus looks inconceivably good with longer hair. I'm not going to talk about the fact that the way he was speaking to MC was nothing short of sinister. And I am most definitely not going to talk about him licking his lips, a display that most definitely didn't cause me to almost crash out, and most definitely doesn't live in my head rent-free, and most definitely wasn't something I struggled to look at whilst editing this video together. Someone had to animate that. Someone had to storyboard it, animate it, render it, and publish it. Someone had to look at Sylus licking his lips for hours on end and make sure his tongue didn't clip through his mouth or any other part of his face. Just think about that for a moment. Moving swiftly on from that, we have Grassland Romance, the first memory I managed to access that was from a group event. Of course, Grassland Romance is really cute, with the hug at the beginning and the fact that he carries her at the end after taking her words literally, but I don't know what it is about the way Sylus just lays there with his big ass arm behind his head that I find so hot. Incidentally, this is a pose that he actually recreates in Where Hearts Live, but I'll touch more on that memory later on. Next on my list is Night of Secrecy.
Rated motherfucking PG shit. This shit rated porn. Let's get it.
How about we just save that one for later? Let's just move on to Night Plumes. Now, if I recall correctly, Night Plumes is the first 5-star memory I got for Sylus. And when I first got it, I was just taken aback by how gosh darn soft he was in it. Just the way he was standing there, watching the fireworks with MC, which reminded me of the New Year's scene in High School Musical for some reason. The snow falling gently around him drawing the little kitty, him smiling at her like this. I can't stand it. This makes no sense, but I feel like in this memory specifically, Sylus comes across as very pretty in a very refined and masculine way. No, I won't elaborate. Now that we're on a soft theme, let's keep that momentum going and talk about Radiant Brilliance. Remember when I touched briefly on the reverence and respect he holds for MC earlier? Well, this moment is a prime example of what I meant. Just the way he casually gives her the champion's ring and places it on her when asked, and of course, I can't not talk about that kiss at the end. So wholesome, so romantic, so perfect, it just makes you want to melt away. And speaking of melt away, we have Sylus's birthday memory, Where Hearts Live, and aside from the fact that this is one of the most cheesy, sentimental, softest, most romantic things I've ever seen, aside from the fact that this memory also reinforces the playful Sylus agenda, aside from the fact that the devs always make this man kiss like it's the last time. Okay, but my thing is, I don't care how in love you are. How are you going to be kissing like that in public? There could be children watching, you nasties. Have some damn decorum for Christ's sake. Aside from all of that, if there's one thing I want you guys to take away from this video, it's this. Just look at the face he makes when MC doesn't move after being barreled over by a dog. Look at all the emotions in his expression. Worry, fear, apprehension, panic, stress, any other adjective for worry. That is such a human reaction right there. The reaction of a man when something happens to the woman he loves. Something that for all intents and purposes isn't that big of a deal, but to him, it may as well be the end of the world. And to add to it, once it's made clear MC is fine, Sylus immediately switches back to how he usually is, acting like he was calm the entire time, like I'm certain most would in his situation. Also, Where Hearts Live made it so I was able to hear Sylus laugh for the first time, like full on actually laugh. This is both amazing and terrible for me. Amazing because his laugh is beautiful and it will serve as my dose of serotonin whenever I happen to need a boost from now on, but also terrible because it made me fall even deeper in love with a man who is not real and cannot reciprocate my feelings. And why, Infold, why would you do this to me? Okay, I'm good. Before we wrap up this section, I also want to show some love to his 4-star memories, particularly Razor's Grip and Melodic Weave. I love Razor's Grip because that memory is one of the main indicators that MC's rubbing off on Sylus, at least a little bit, by way of the fact that instead of killing all the men once he found out about the setup, he instead spares them, much to MC's surprise. Razor's Grip is also the memory that gave us that adorable quote that you heard earlier on in the video. Also, shout out to Melodic Weave. Even though that memory confirms that Sylus cannot sing, at least not in that instance, I still cherish it because it gave us one of the suavest, hottest, and I'm sorry, I have to say it, cuntiest depictions of Sylus ever. Like, come on, look at that image and tell me it doesn't give a male Jessica Rabbit to you. Yeah, I don't really know how to end this section. Sylus's memories are goated and that's about it.
Unfortunately, the string of fate connecting us can't be cut that easily.
Suffice it to say, Sylus has completely rewired my brain chemistry, though I'm sure that I've more than got that point across throughout this video, however long it ends up being. Was he slightly problematic at the beginning? Oh yeah, but let's be honest, which male lead in women's fiction isn't these days? But I feel like he more than makes up for that with the way that he and MC's relationship evolves in the future. As a character, I love him, regardless of whether he's serious, playful, dominant, bratty, aloof, or affectionate. All of these traits make up the pieces of the masterpiece that is Sylus. And I can't help but love all aspects of his personality. They're all so endearing to me. All that being said, I know my future husband has his work cut out for him, and I apologize in advance for how much grief I'm probably going to give him in the future. But right now, I don't care. I know that there'll be a day where looking at Sylus's handsome face won't fill me with the butterflies that it does right now. And him, alongside Love and Deepspace itself, will become nothing more than a fond memory of my early 20s. But until that day comes, you can bet your ass that I'll continue to hyperfixate on this man until either my bank account gives out or my heart does. Most likely both. And with that, we're finally done. When it came to constructing this video, I didn't want to just do it off the cuff. Not just because I probably wouldn't be able to remember everything I wanted to say, but also because I feel like Sylus deserves my utmost effort in glazing him to the absolute fullest. That explains why I sound so eloquent and coherent as opposed to a raving harpy. Gonna be honest, this video took a lot out of me, and that's simply because I really wanted to make sure that I spoke about everything and included everything that I wanted to. Not to mention that it's my first official video essay that I've ever done. I ended up getting stuck in a creative rut for a good while, so if this video comes out long since after I passed the milestone it was initially made for, then that'll be the reason why. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you for getting me to 500 subscribers. I really appreciate every single one of you that's liked, comment, and subscribed. I'm so happy that I've been able to entertain so many of you, and I'm definitely going to continue doing so, so make sure you stick around. If you've made it this far, then tell me, what's your favorite Sylus moment? One that just lives in your head rent-free? I know this is probably a really basic answer, but mine is his first introduction scene. Just the sheer amount of aura on display and the way he just emerged from the shadows gets me every time. I can't shake it. Plus, it serves to remind me when I was first starting to get to know him and gives me all sorts of nostalgia. That being said, him goading MC into shooting him and taunting her with the "want some help? Yes, no, maybe so," just gets me for some reason. I totally forgot to mention his licking his lips in Tomorrow's Catch-22. That is also a moment that lives in my head rent-free, but we're not going to get into that. Anyway, I've gone on long enough, so that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Ready, steady.